The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate your game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%.
Now, let's start the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great episode for us. It's becoming an annual episode for us, and that is our CFB National Title Game show with the college playoff winding down. We're at the national championship game with Indiana and Miami facing off. I have a panel of guests here that we're going to break down the game and give our predictions on who we think is going to win this big game here in college football. And I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves here. And guys, I need your name, the answer to these two questions. That it's, what do you do for a job or a career? And in your opinion, what is the most overrated breakfast food? And Jose, we're going to start with you.
Wonderful. I'll welcome everybody. My name is Jose Jefferson. I am the general manager at Florida International University for the football team, and I am also the executive director, owner, operator for the College Gridiron Showcase. And the most overrated breakfast food would have to be grapefruit.
Oh, absolutely.
Terrible.
Grapefruit for breakfast. Come on now. Who's eating grapefruit for breakfast?
terrible.
That's just wow. And next on the list, we got Bob.
Bob Gallagher. I do high school football games for 1390 AM here in Youngstown. And I think hash browns is the overrated breakfast food.
Oh, we might fight over that one there, Bob, on that one. Hash browns overrated. All right. We'll give you that one. Next on the list, we got Kurt.
I am Kurt Barth. I'm a teacher and coach at Washington High School in Central Illinois. I would go with cereal as my overrated breakfast food.
I can get on board with cereal for that one. Absolutely. Next, we have Sean.
How you doing, guys? Sean Dodd, seventh grade teacher, head football coach at Eastlake North High School, just outside of Cleveland. And I agree, cereal would be my most overrated. Loved it as a kid, but it's there's no benefit to it besides all the fun sugar part of it.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only good thing about cereal in the morning, and it's quick. That'd be the only benefits for me. And last on the list here, we have Matt.
Hi, thanks for having me. Matt Oldemore, teacher and head football coach at Latonia High School in Northeast Ohio. And it's not really a mainstay food, but yogurt. I just don't do yogurt. It's not, anytime you have breakfast with yogurt, I can't do it.
For breakfast, I would go overrated. I do like it as a snack every now and again, though. It helps out through the day. But yeah, for breakfast, no, not at all for me. Everybody always knows me, Mike Bono, your host here, comedian. I do have a day job at a rental car company too as well. Will not say the name of it on here too as well. But the most overrated breakfast food, in my opinion, I don't want to say cereal because that was a lot, but that was the big one for me here was cereal. But any type of fruit for breakfast. I'm sorry, I'm not a big fruit guy for breakfast. The breakfast meal for me is when I want all that starchy, the syrups and everything like that with pancakes, waffles, anything like that. Yeah, fruit it's just not going to cut it for me. But we're not here to talk about breakfast. We are here to talk about the national championship game coming up here. Well, we're recording it. It'll be this Monday. It will air on Monday, the day of the game here. But we're going to jump right into this, Jose. We're going to start with you. Are you surprised the college football championship game is between Miami and Indiana? Did not think these two teams were going to make it this far. My personal opinion, I thought they were going to phase out. So are you surprised by that? And who else did you think was going to be in this game?
I don't want to say surprised. I mean, I think right now with NIL, parity is abundant. So no, I do think sometimes that time off hurts a lot of those teams in the first round. And as we were talking off air, Miami got hot and they didn't play the ACC championship, so they had that time off and they had some time to prepare for the games. Indiana has just been consistent over the last 2 years. I think they're 15-0 now. Last year, I think they lost 1 or 2 games last year. So it's not a shocker, but I'm not. If any of those teams would have been in there, there's not any traditional powerhouses that are in the Final Four as it was anyway. So not a surprise to me.
I got you, Bob. What about you?
Yeah, a little bit with I'm a Miami fan myself, and I was worried they weren't going to get in. I could have swore that they were going to put Notre Dame in ahead of Miami, but I thought once they get in, I thought Miami could to do some damage. I felt that they played well. Just they played their competition. I think you could see like those 2 games that they lost. I think they just thought they were just going to roll in, and that didn't happen. So I think they're getting hot. And Indiana, I thought they were just a good team all year, so I wasn't surprised they were there. But I would like to see Notre Dame get in instead of some of the other like Tulane or James Madison, see what they could have did.
Yeah, those two surprised me. getting in over Notre Dame, James Madison, and Tulane. Just wasn't very entertaining first round matchups with those two teams, just getting absolutely obliterated in their first playoff game. But I mean, Indiana's been solid. I didn't think Miami was going to make it past the second round. I thought they'd get past the first round. I didn't think they were going to get past the second round. So that one surprises me. Indiana's been consistent the past couple of years here. But Matt, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, it depends on when you were going to ask this question. If it would have been before I saw them play their first playoff games, I would have said, "Nah, they're not. Neither of these teams going to make it. Something's going to happen." But once we saw them both get on the field for 60 minutes in their first game, I started thinking, "Yeah, you know what? These teams, like Coach Jose said, and Miami got hot, and Indiana's just been solid all year." And I saw them; there was no rust, and I said, "Yeah, all right." I did kind of expect those two teams to make it.
Okay. Sean, what about you?
Yeah, if you would ask me at the beginning of the season, I would not have predicted these two teams. I probably, like most people, I would have thought Ohio State was pretty much a lock.
Yeah.
Having watched the playoffs and the way everything unfolded, and now we're at today. To me, Indiana's clearly been the best team in college football, but and kind of like Coach said earlier, with the way NIL is and the transfer portal, and not a complete surprise. I think that's kind of what it was designed for, in part to give some of these other schools the opportunities to compete and maybe break up some of those dynasties. But with that in mind, not a complete surprise, but if you would ask me at the beginning of the year, I would not have guessed these two teams. No.
I got you. Kurt, run us out on this one.
Right. I kind of agree. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, I probably would have said Ohio State and my heart would have said Georgia. But certainly as we got into the playoff, Indiana has shown all year they've been, a top-notch team. And as Jose said earlier, Miami got hot, and they're certainly athletic and can cover a lot of areas as a team. So I'm not surprised that we're in this spot with the championship, and it should be a good one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game. I did not think Miami. I think they got hot at the right time for this college football playoff. I thought the week off and getting the bye with Indiana was going to hurt them like it has every other team that has gotten the first round bye in the playoff. Since we've gone to this 12 team, I think they're the first team that has made it past the bye week and having that week off. But, it's going to be an entertaining game, I think, in that aspect. This next one, this one's just going to be for Jose here. You are, the current general manager of FIU football there, and the former head coach of nope. Correction. We were supposed to have Hal Mummy on here. He wasn't able to join. This was going to be for both of you here, but, being
I was a former head coach as well too. Just depends on what level.
It wasn't that. I don't believe you coached Tim Couch. So
no.
Reading quickly through this and trying to get through this because I know you're on a time crunch here. But a lot of people are saying that Fernando Mendoza is a generational talent at quarterback, like a former Tim Couch that at Florida and a Joe Burrow at LSU. My question is, though, what is Mendoza's ceiling in the NFL? Is it like a Tim Tebow or is it more like a Joe Burrow?
Honestly, I think he's probably more like a Matt Ryan, quite honestly.
Okay.
He's a great game manager. I mean, he's athletic enough. I like what he does with that system. He was in Cal before that, and he wasn't really a household name in Cal, but I think those West Coast team, obviously, they catch it because they play so late, at least on the East Coast, Midwest. But coming into a system, it's no different than what Kirk Cignetti did with his. JMU was always good. Now they're in Indiana with an Indiana-sized line running that offense with a kid who understands the system. I liken him to probably, like I said, a Matt Ryan type, Jimmy Garoppolo type. That is a great system guy, even Brock Purdy type of guy. But I think he's he's got a little moxie to him. I like how he carries himself on and off the field. I like how he controls the game, controls himself, and he's not gonna lose the game for him, which I think is outstanding. And that's hard for some quarterbacks to understand. They think they have to win the game all the time, and they don't. I mean, as we say here, you don't have to be Superman because sometimes Clark Kent's required. And he is definitely a Clark Kent type. And when they need a play, he turns to Superman and has done it for him for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I like the kid. I started when Indiana started winning games and started being a little bit more relevant and kind of being that threat to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Everyone kind of started to pay attention a little bit. Like, hey, this might be the team that takes Ohio State and gives them a run for their money. I mean, you don't hear a bad thing about him, but so you're saying, I mean, I think in the right system, like you were saying, if he gets in the right system, like Brock Purdy just happened to catch fire, Mr. Irrelevant, in the draft, and now look at him. He's
give it to Kurt Signetti for getting what he wanted. Mendoza was not the highest pick quarterback in that transfer portal pool, but he got the guy he wanted because he fit that system. I think environment is everything. Environment is everything for quarterbacks, and that environment at Indiana suits him really well.
I got you. Yeah, I definitely like it. I'm interested to see what he does when he goes to where he goes and what his NFL career is going to do. Because I like him. He's a tough, gritty kid too as well, and you don't hear a bad thing about him.
I hope he's not the first pick. I'd like to see him go to a team that he can actually contribute to as opposed to be the heavy, which I don't think he's that guy. And the team those teams that are picking in the top 5 aren't a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. And that's where he'll struggle. Yeah. I hope he goes to somebody good that he can sit on the bench for a year or two and then take over. Like a team like the Falcons would be ideal for him. I mean, not that they need to get rid of Penix or anybody like that, but that's all they're missing is a quarterback.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't hate that. I fear the Heisman is going to make him be the number 1 overall pick, and
absolutely.
I love it for him as a kid. Being the number 1 overall pick. Who doesn't want to be the first overall pick of the draft? But I think it will hurt his career.
You don't want to go to the Raiders.
Yeah, you don't want to be a Cleveland Brown or a Las Vegas Raider or anything like that. No. Sorry, Bob. I know I can't help it. I know you.
No, Cleveland has about 8 quarterbacks on their roster already, so they don't. They need have one way more.
Too many. They don't need any more there in Cleveland. But for everyone here knows that we'll stay with you on this one since we got you here. What is your prediction for this game and who wins?
I think the odds makers have it right. I think it's going to be a touchdown plus, maybe a 10-point game. I do think Miami will compete. It's just something that tells me you can only stay hot for so long, and now they have the break and a little bit of time to understand that this is actually happening. Because beforehand, you only got a week and you're preparing and you're going. I think their talent is good. However, I just don't think their defense is going to be able to do much. I mean, obviously they got the pass rush, and that's great. But man for man, and I think somebody said it earlier, the talent of Miami, but consistency. Look what they did to Oregon. Nobody saw that coming at all.
I didn't see that at all.
That was incredible because they just dismantled this team that I thought for sure was going to be a track meet, and it was over at halftime. And that I don't think it'll be like that with Miami. I truly don't. However, I think Miami cannot afford to get into a shootout with them. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can afford to get into a shootout with Indiana this year. Indiana's tough. Bob, what about you? Who's your prediction?
Once again, I'm a Canes fan, so I got to go with my boys. Like I said, I didn't think they were going to get into the playoffs, so I'm just happy they're there. But I'm going to go root for them 31-21. Go Canes.
Okay, yeah. I just realized you're wearing a Miami hoodie. I just realized you're wearing that. But, Matt, what about you? What's your prediction?
Oof, I don't know. I'm hoping it's a good game. The last 2 weren't real close national championships, I don't think. I'm just going to call call out Miami by 4. There we go.
Miami by 4. All right, Sean, what about you?
Yeah, I kind of like the old school philosophy. I think Indiana has a little bit better defense. They statistics don't always mean everything, strength of schedule, but they grade out a little bit higher run defense, pass defense, overall defense. They don't turn the ball over. Their run game's a little bit better. You have a quarterback that can manage it. And like Jose said earlier about staying hot and now running into that some time off. I think that's going to maybe mess with Miami a little bit. So score-wise, I'll go Indiana 27-21 with the Hoosiers winning it.
Okay. Kurt, what about you?
Well, I think it's momentum versus consistency, right? So something's got to give. I think I'm going to go with Indiana, probably 28-20 score, something like that. But I think that if Indiana stays true to who they are and they don't make mistakes, they haven't made many all year. If they can stay that route, they've got a lot of ways they can hit you. They've got talented receiving core. They've got an outstanding running game with the line up front. And obviously Mendoza can make plays with his arm. So if they can stay true to who they are and not make mistakes, I think they'll be just fine. And Miami, if they can stay hot and not make mistakes, I think they can stay in it and make it a game. And then you never know what happens if it's tight at the end. Somebody that pressure will mount on a team, and it'll be one player or another that makes a difference.
Yeah, I think this game's going to be a lot closer than everybody thinks. I don't think it's going to be a track meet like everyone thinks. I don't think it's going to be high scoring by any stretch of the main. I do have Indiana inking out 27-24 over Miami. I think it's going to come down to a field goal late in this game. I think it's going to be that for me. I think Indiana they've been too consistent for me to vote against them on that one. But this one, I just want to ask Kurt and Sean. I had to make sure. I know we lost Jose and Hal wasn't here. I want to make sure I still had everybody here on this one. I want to kind of ask you two this question. Do you think Indiana can sustain this type of success long term, meaning coming out of the woodwork and becoming a legit national powerhouse over the past 2 seasons with the transfer portal and getting the right guys in there? And do you think they can keep this up with the transfer and the traditional powers of like an Ohio State type of program each year? And Kurt, let's start with you.
I think that's the question that everybody's asking about them is, can they keep it up? But I do think they can. I think that Coach Signetti's done a great job of staying true to who he is and getting his guys in that fit his system, his culture. And I don't see him changing that. And as long as he doesn't, I think he'll continue to get the right fit. He's just wanting guys that buy in, want to play in his system and be for each other. And as long as he can keep building that culture and those guys staying engaged in that, I think they can sustain it. Now, that is a big if. Obviously, the amount of money that people can throw at the players is different. But I think culture can win out. So it would be nice to see that continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, what about you?
I don't think at the national championship level consistency. Not like when Alabama had that dynasty going there for a little while. I think they could continue to be in the top 25, top 10, maybe flirt with the Final Four. I just think there's some uncertainty, and you have to constantly hit home runs with the transfer portal. What Kurt said with the culture that Signetti has over there. I think that's an incredible thing that he's been able to do and build, and I don't see that wavering or changing. He seems like he's pretty set and has a pretty good idea of who he is and what he wants his program to be. But being able to get a quarterback like this, and I know they're getting a kid from TCU next season. I don't know anything about him, but being able to hit a home run on that year in and year out, I think might get to be a little bit tough. And I think you're going to start to see maybe some of the egos of the big Power Fives, the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Alabamas, and people just unloading even more money than what they are now to get and keep some of these big time blue chip guys. And so I do think they'll be more consistent and a higher level team, a higher ranked team than what Indiana ever was in the past. I just think the game has changed so much now with the transfer portal and the NIL money. I think you're going to see some different teams kind of surfacing, the Texas Techs, the SMU, some of these Texas schools that have big time money that they can spend. So I think you're going to see some different teams throughout over the next 10 years, you might see 10 different teams win it.
I would love that to see 10 different teams win the national championship over the last 10 years. I feel like everyone's kind of got used to, okay, it's going to be Alabama, it's going to be Ohio State. You're going to have these two teams. They're going to be fighting for a national championship every year. And let's see what comes down to. Georgia's been in there lately. Yeah, I would love to see this college football playoff with the transfer portal kind of give other schools and other teams a chance to win a national championship. Do I think a JMU or a Tulane deserve to be in there still? No, I'm happy some smaller schools did make the playoffs and got a chance to be on a national stage, but they just weren't ready. There was no need for those two teams to go in there and take the beating that they absolutely did in the first round. But obviously it will bode well for the programs, getting on that national stage, and hopefully they can turn it around. But yeah, I would love to see there be more teams winning national championships other than the same 3 to 4 schools every year. Hell, when it was the 4-team playoff, I think you could always just pencil in Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama every year, and then you just throw a 4th team in there to see who can even try to make it a competitive. But yeah, I like this 12-team playoff. I think it'll bode well with the transfer portal. I want to move here, but this question is only for Matt and Bob. And Bob, we're going to start with you. What are your thoughts on Miami playing the national championship game on their home field? Do you think that helps them at all?
I don't think it will because if Miami fans, they're too busy on the beach. They don't care about going to the games. It's like a lot of times watching the games is like half empty. So I think there'll be a little bit more people there, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of red in the stands with Indiana because I think, the Miami people are out, going to the beach and doing some other things. So I think it's nice to have them there. I think back in the day when they played the Orange Bowl and the championships they played, it was a little different. But this stadium, it's a little bigger and it's like a lot more open. So I think it'll help a little bit, but not as much as people think. I think.
I got you, Matt. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same thing. I was checking the face value on the tickets for the game is $900, and I don't know. I guess it's which fan base wants to pay the most. If it's not the advertisers, or people getting tickets, but that's a pretty steep price to pay for a college championship game face value. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's so commercialized. I don't think it's going to be too much of a sway for one team or the other. I am curious, though, and I don't know if any of you guys know, is Miami going to be in they're the away team, but which locker room are they going to be in? Are they going to be in their own locker room or they have to be in the visitors? And so I was just curious. That's all.
That's a good question. I think by rule, I think they have to be in the visitors locker room in their home field, which would, I think that might be, I hate this because I'm trying not to cuss, but I'm going to. But a total mind fuck for them. You're in your home stadium, but yet you're in the visitors' locker room. I mean, I think that might throw a whole monkey wrench into the whole thing for them at the start of the game, and coming out of halftime.
I read something. Sorry, Mike, but I read something somewhere. I think when they do, the Dolphins don't let them in their locker room. I think they have an extra locker room. So I think the Hurricanes, when they play there, they're usually in the visitors' locker room. And
Oh,
so I know I read an article somewhere where the Dolphins don't let them in their locker room during the season.
well then, that just
So it's
threw
going to be
me
like a
for a whole
regular.
nother
It's
room.
going to
So
be
that'll
like
be
their
like
home
another
locker room,
regular
so to
game
speak.
then.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So yeah, the locker room might not play a factor. It might. I don't know. I hope you're right, Bob, because I don't want there to be anything to screw with this. Because I want to see just these two teams at their purest. I know Miami. I think being home and being able to practice and not having that travel
I think
schedule,
that'll help a little bit.
that's going to help a little bit. You're practicing in Miami where you're going to play, so you don't have to worry about the weather. I mean, up here where we're at in Ohio, I mean, it was a balmy 19 degrees here today. So, you know what I mean? Like, Indiana's got to prepare for that and then going to a warmer climate. I know I was talking to Jose off the air. I mean, he said it's in the 70s there. So, I mean, it's not like super hot by any stretch of the means. So, I don't think we'll have to worry about any like dehydration things or anything like that. But I think that, Miami just being able to be home and not have to worry about the travel is going to play a big part. I think it's going to make them a little bit more competitive. Kurt, let's go to you on this one. We're going to get everybody in on these next couple of questions here, but I want to get all of your guys' opinion on this. Over the past 2 years of the 12-team playoff, the top 4 seeds each year who receive the bye, I mean, combined are 1-7. We've been talking about it the entire show, with Indiana being the only winner. What are your guys' thoughts on I mean, is 12 teams too many?
Uh, well, I mean, that probably just depends on who you ask. I think it's better than 4 for sure. You get a majority of the top teams from the season in that tournament. I think that makes a big difference. I think they can add to it and still be good with that. But I'm happy that it's at least 12, but I think we could add more too.
I got you. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I think they just need to quit messing with it. I mean, they got to give us a couple of years to get used to it, you know? I mean, it's definitely better than 0, definitely better than 2, and then 4 even. I don't know. If you can let people get a chance to just get used to 12, that's okay. I'd accept 16. But you know what? There's always going to be ESPN people talking about who's left out, whether you have 32 or heck, if you go to the Division 3 model, there's 40 teams, I think, in that.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a long season. And whatever they decide to do, I'm a fan of college football, so that's more games to watch.
Absolutely. Sean, what about you?
I'm okay with the 12. I think they need to clean up and come up with some consistency with these conference championships. I think there's an advantage for some of the teams to not have to play in it. So I think that, for me personally, I'd like to see that cleaned up more than add teams, take away teams. I'm okay with the 12. I do agree with, I think a couple of you guys mentioned like Tulane and James Madison being in there. I didn't really see a need for those teams. It's cool for those particular schools. And it's great for those smaller schools to be seen in big markets and on a big stage. But I think Notre Dame might have been a little better opponent than Tulane or James Madison. But yeah, I'm fine with the 12. I'd just like to see the conference championship thing be consistent across the board. Either everybody does it or nobody does it.
No, yeah, I got you on that one. Bob, round us out on this one.
Well, I'm good with the 12. I can see them going to 16 to kind of, like you said, eliminate those buys so that those 4 teams will at least play at the same amount of games. And so, and then maybe you throw in those easy teams so they get like an easy game the first week, so they won't have to worry about getting upset. So you can keep the Tulanes and James Madison and let the top seed just bury them, and then they won't have to worry about it. But the 12 will be fine. But I could see them going to 16 just to eliminate the week off and stuff, and let them play.
That's kind of where I was going to go with this one. I like the 12. I think 16 is going to be the magic number for them because it eliminates those bye weeks. And like we said, I mean, they're 1-7, and Indiana's the first one to even make it out of their bye week and out of the second round. And now they're playing for a national championship, which is great because it proves that it can work. But I think now you get everyone on an even playing field. They're all playing the same amount of games. And I think that would work a little bit better. And we wouldn't be having these types of conversations like, well, okay, the teams that have gotten the bye, there's been one team, and right now they're playing for a national championship that has made it out the past 2 years. But I was skeptical at first of the 12-team playoff because I had been screaming for years that I think an 8-team playoff was the magic number. You have 5 Power 5 conferences. All those conference championships get an automatic bid to the national championship. You did what you were supposed to do. You played your conference championship. And if you have one of these weaker divisions like a MAC or a WAC that or a Conference USA that had an undefeated team that, did what they were supposed to do and they didn't lose a game, now you give them a shot there too as well. Now, obviously, I mean, they're going up against the Power 5. Like, it's not going to be that competitive of a game, but it gets them on the national stage and maybe gets them some transfers in there to make them a little bit more relevant now. And I thought an 8-team playoff was going to be the number, but I think 12 to 16 is the max that you go. I don't want to see them get into like the March Madness where we're just like, let's let everybody in and let's see the 64-team playoff and see how that goes. I think if they start going over 16, that's just now we're just pushing to just get more football for everybody. And I mean, I'm a football fan, but at some point we got to draw a line in the sand, and I think that line is 16. Bob, let's stay with you here on this one, though. But which staff is better as a whole? Is it Miami, led by Mariano, and I always butcher his last name, so I'm not even gonna try it. Or is it Kirk Cignetti and his staff at Indiana?
This is a tough one. As far as the head coaches, I'd go with Cignetti. I just think watching, like I said, Mario over the last couple of years, he butchers the end of the game sometimes.
Yeah.
Has lost a couple of games because of it. Even that Ohio State game, they said he butchered that one. He should have just knelt down, and they would only had the ball with like about 5 or 6 seconds left, but they score. Ohio State let them score. But I think as a staff, I think Miami's staff is a little better. I think they got the coordinators are a little better. But if you're counting just head coaches, I would go with Cignetti. But if you're coaching as a staff as a whole, I think Miami's staff is better.
Okay, Sean, what about you?
I'm gonna have to go with Indiana. I don't know everybody on both staffs. I wouldn't go to name names or anything. Besides, I think isn't Shanahan one of the Shanahan's Indiana's offensive coordinator. But
Yeah.
to the best of my knowledge, I think a lot of those guys came with him. So I think there's some consistency with his staff. I could be wrong on that. So I'm just going to throw a dart, say Indiana, only because I think his staff was with him previously and they came over with him. So I think there's something to be said for that consistency and that continuity for a staff. Not that they necessarily know more football or they're more creative or anything like that, but I'm just going to go with Indiana just because in my head, there's consistency to it. But I could be wrong on that, so I really don't know.
No, you're absolutely right on that. There is the consistency factor. A lot of them were together. One of the Shanahans is the OC there in Indiana. I mean, what I'm going to go for it. Cristobal is done there at Miami. I think it's something to be said. You get a 10 seed that's playing for a national championship, and obviously you did something right, being something that at the start of this, we didn't even know if it was going to be them or Notre Dame. They weren't even sure if they were going to get in it, and now they're playing for a national championship, which I think that factor helps out any staff, no matter who you are, getting that underdog, like, hey, they weren't even going to put us in this thing, and now look at where we're at. But Signetti, it's just something about his staff that it's hard for me to go against. And just the look on his face. I mean, they're up like 40 points, and he just has this look like, oh man, you missed a block there as a receiver on the backside that had that guy that had to chase him 40 yards down the field, and he still made the play, because you didn't block off the snap, and we're up by 40. And, he keeps that intensity, and I think he has that throughout his staff and the consistency, like Sean was saying there. I think I go with Indiana on that. But, Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Sean. I mean, if you look on Indiana's staff, just you look at how many of their coaches either coached with Signetti at Indiana, Pennsylvania, or were at Indiana IUP at some point or another. So, there's consistency there. I do have a soft spot for Miami. The coach in me, I've followed Miami, Cristobal and their defense coordinator with a lot of the stuff they've been doing over the years, coming through the ranks and at their different places. So they do a lot of neat things on defense that we try to get to translate into our program. So, yeah, I'm kind of torn because, Signetti, some of those guys on Signetti's staff came to our neck of the woods and walked our halls there at one point or another when they're at IUP like 17 years ago. And also, we're trying to do some things that Miami's doing on defense here at the high school level. So I got a soft spot for that staff too. So I don't know. I'm just torn.
I got you. Kurt, round us out on this question.
Well, I mean, I think both staffs have done a tremendous job. They preach grit, toughness, accountability, togetherness, everything that championship teams are made of. If I were given an advantage or staff I would go with, it would be Indiana and Signetti, just because of, like everybody's mentioned, they've been together and they started off small and fought like hell to get to where they're at. And just going through that process of going from the D2 level all the way up to now in the national championship spotlight and not fraying away from each other, at this point, right? So they've stayed the course, got there together. I think there's that's why their program is so tight. I think the kids see that the way they've come up through the ranks, and the kids believe in that. And I think there's just that gives them just a little bit of an edge. And if I remember right, Miami's DC was on Signetti's staff at JMU for a while as well. So they've got a little bit of a tie together on that side too. But I would say Indiana's got just a little bit of an advantage, but Miami's got an awfully good staff too.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think both staffs are phenomenal. Like, I think both staffs are great at what they do. But yeah, it's the consistency with Indiana for me. But we are going to round the show out here with this last question here. Kurt, we're going to stay with you on this one. And which two teams do you see next year in the 26-27 season competing for a national championship?
Well, I'm going to say Georgia would be my again. My heart's telling me that one. I'm a Bulldog fan, but I think they can definitely be in contention for that. And then I got to think Notre Dame's going to come back strong as well.
Oh, so you're going Georgia, Notre Dame?
Yep.
Okay. Matt, what about you?
You mean the two teams playing
next year in the national championship, 26-27 season?
It doesn't have to be in. Doesn't have to be Indiana or Miami.
No. Who do you have? Who's your prediction for next season?
I'm gonna take a dark horse. I'm gonna say LSU, and then I'm gonna stay true to my heart and say Ohio State. Those are the two teams I got.
I got you, Sean. What about you?
Oh man, I've done Ohio State this year, and I'm gonna stick with Ohio State again for next year. And then I'm torn between. Oregon returns a lot, and Texas Tech they're starting to get that thing rolling a little bit. I'll go Texas Tech, Ohio State.
Okay, Bob, what about you?
I'm gonna pick the Canes, but I think they're gonna take a step back. They're gonna lose a lot of those guys to the pros next year. So. A team that's a surprise team. I think Texas is I think Vanning's gonna have a better year than he did last year. I think so. I'm gonna do Texas and Oregon.
Okay. I'm trying so hard not to be a homer here and say my Mountaineers and Rich Rod get something done and at least, get into the playoff and try to make a run. I just know it's not going to happen because as a Mountaineer fan, I say I love them to death, but they disappoint me every single season. So I'm going to let the inner sports analyst here in me take over, and I'm going to go with Ohio State, as much as that pains me to say, because I cannot stand the Buckeyes at all in Ohio State. And I think Texas Tech, I think they're getting that right, and I think next year they're able to do it. So we're going to go Ohio State, Texas Tech, and I can't even get the words out of my mouth. That's how much I can't stand either of these teams. Like that. That's how badly I can't do it. But those are the picks for me. And that is how we're going to end this show, with me stumbling over my words because they taste bad now. I have a bad taste in my mouth for saying those two teams because I can't stand either of them. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank all of my guests. Jose, who did have to leave early. He did have some commitments there at FIU. Sean, Matt, Kurt, and Bob for joining the show. It was a lot of fun getting to sit and talk to you guys about the national championship. I look forward to seeing how our predictions come true. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Dubby Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.